Welcome, Lund loyalists, YouTubers, watching on John Lund Unleashed in the Bay Area, Sports Collective, those watching on X and Instagram, and listening on Apple and Spotify. It's John Lund Unleashed and JohnLundUnleashed.com, brought to you by 𝐟𝐨𝐫𝐞𝐿 Cosmetic Surgery and Laser Center. Right now, featuring amazing stem cell technology for all your pain and for the guys. Check out the latest in low T and testosterone therapy to make you feel like yourself again. 𝐟𝐨𝐫𝐿 Cosmetic Surgery and Laser Center at 𝐸𝐵𝐿Cosmetic.com. Now all juiced up and ready to go. Here's Johnny.
Did you enjoy the sexy open? I thought it was a Saturday and we would ease into things and do a sexy open. Did you like the breathy open? Hey, good morning, Lund loyalists, those watching on YouTube in the Bay Area Sports Collective. Listen to that music. Very sexy. Good morning. It's hard to get revved up with this music, though. Very nice. Hello. Good morning. It's Saturday. It's a very sexy Saturday. I'll go out to the... I bet I surprised you with that. I will go out to the chat line in just a second. If you were new around here, thank you for making the time on a Saturday. That is not the normal open that I sprung on you just a moment ago. It is episode 82. John Lund Unleashed. You're watching on X, possibly, or on Instagram, maybe Twitch, or certainly on YouTube, where the Lund loyalists all hang out. Thank you for hanging out with us. We do a Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific, and man, that's why you can't take the weekend off. It's far too busy. We got the chalkboard on the right side, which we'll get to in just a moment. Thank you if you're watching on the Bay Area Sports Collective. Please make sure you subscribe, not only on John Lund Unleashed, but please also on Bay Area Sports Collective. If you do that, that would be tremendous. Sorry, I just put one of the smartest things I've ever done. I just put drops in my eyes right before the show. There it is. Couldn't find it there for a second. Just put drops in my eyes to start the show, which was just a really brilliant thing to do. But I'll get out to the roll call and the reaction to the open today. We are here Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. We are here Saturdays at 10 a.m. And when necessary, and the way things are breaking in free agency starting in the NFL on Monday, we may just need to do that. Jokic went crazy, all that kind of stuff. But thank you. Please subscribe. John Lund Unleashed, Bay Area Sports Collective. Hang out in the chat room on this Saturday. Tons of things to get to. You don't have to agree with what I say. It's a safe zone for everybody here. And the last thing I'll say is thank you for going to JohnLundUnleashed.com, where we have a bunch of stories up every single day. I will show you that very quickly, and then we can get on to things because it is a busy Saturday. You have things to do, but I appreciate you stopping by. But here's what we do there on that. So I got the blog up. There's the 49ers thing. I'm writing a piece right now on Jed York, why Ayuk won't be traded, Debo, Curry, so he scored 56, takeaways from combine, all those kind of things. We have a blog that we do. And then if you look at the homepage here at JohnLundUnleashed.com, if it will ever load, there we go. Meet your host. Latest YouTube shows will replace that. So all the YouTube stuff, archive it. You see that red button, you just go there. Unleashed podcast, Unleashed blog post. And we even have merch, which, by the way, I just got that hat, the black hat. Very nice. So we got the merch. Mike had the bucket hat on the other day. My wife has the this deal that every woman has to have, the cup. So anyway, you can check that out all at JohnLundUnleashed.com. We appreciate it. And one last thing, as I told you, 𝐟𝐵𝐿, our fine sponsors of the program. I tell you this every time we meet. Cosmetic Surgery and Laser Center. I'm doing some great things right now. Low T. I had low T. I don't anymore. Testosterone. You feel great. You can see my energy right now where you can't see it, but you can feel it. And it's all because of Dr. Jeffrey 𝐟𝐵𝐿 and the Cosmetic Surgery and Laser Center, 𝐟𝐵𝐿 in San Ramon. It is worth the drive right now. If you've been thinking about testosterone therapy, low T, those kind of things, you're going to feel great like I do every single day. And here's the other great part about it is no shots every week. They do one procedure. It's very quick. It's very easy. You're out of there in about 30 minutes, and you're good for about 5 or 6 months at a shot. So it's absolutely great. And also my wife, as I tell you all the time, and all you have to do is hit that QR code right there. You hit that QR code. Let me get that back up there. The QR code. and you can make an appointment right now with 𝐟𝐸𝐵𝐿. My wife is doing stem cell, and stem cell is absolutely great. She's got pain in her shoulder and in her elbow, but neck, knees, anywhere you're having that pain, stem cell research is absolutely great. You may have had other things before, they spin the blood and all those kind of things, PRP, but you add the stem cell, and I'm telling you, you're going to feel great. My wife, all those things that she has in the freezer, all these different contraptions that she has, she doesn't have to use them anymore. She's feeling great. It's been about 3 weeks, and all because of my good friends at 𝐟𝐸𝐵𝐿 Cosmetic Surgery and Laser Center in San Ramon. Check them out. All right, there we go. Got everything done. All right, as far as the chalkboard is concerned, I just covered up the chalkboard. What am I doing here? Hang on just a second. Let me get the good stuff. There we go. Episode 82. BASG. I told you about that. We're not only at John Lund Unleashed, which we've done probably, 78 episodes. We're on Bay Area BASC. I kept that up there from the last time. Bay Area Sports Collective. It's me. It's Polymac with Creative Tony and Tom Tolbert, who had a great show yesterday with Ray Ratto in his backyard. I think they went for hours. And by the end of it, they're like, I love you. No, I love you. I love you more. No, I love you more. It was amazing. So go to Bay Area Sports Collective, BASC, on YouTube and subscribe there, and John Lund Unleashed. Jed York, we're going to talk about today the 49ers' new approach, if you believe that. Geno to the Raiders. What does that mean to the Niners? Darnold probably to the Seahawks. Jonathan Allen's going to be released. There was a rumor that Jonathan Allen was going to be part of the Debo trade, but he's going to be released. So would the Niners go after him? Free agency starts on Monday in the NFL, the heavy petting version. That means Larry Krueger and I tomorrow night, so no days off for me this week. Larry Krueger and I tomorrow night, the Krug Show and John Lund Unleashed will combine to make superpowers. And we'll talk all about free agency on Sunday night and what we think is going to happen. Pistons in town to take on the Warriors. It ain't the same old Pistons. They're pretty good. Jokic last night did something that no one in the history of the game, no one in the history of the game has done a 30-20-20. I'm going to show you some highlights from that, which his skill level is ridiculous. Charles Barkley and Screamin' A, and they're going to be on the same network next year for NBA coverage, are going at it, and it's fun. And then an interesting thought on Jung-Hoo Lee and what a breakout season would mean for the Giants and for him. And then, of course, if you're new to the show, random simply means that can happen during any point during that chalkboard. All I do is get sidetracked, mostly by the chat line, which I love. And then I go off on a tangent because people are talking about something. I get in the middle of the conversation. I have no idea what they're talking about. And then it starts off and starts to go. All right, my eyes are going to do better here in a second. So I'll be able to read what you actually say, but I can see the big stuff in bold. John Holmes is here. Skill report. Yo, what's up, skills report? Clement is here today. JJ Raider, Tacky, good morning, Bay Area. See, there you go. There's my friends at Bay Area Sports Collective. Good Saturday morning. Right now. In fact, you know what I can do? Look at this. This is how fancy I am. Watch this. Talking about, I kind of went crazy with QR codes. Blah! Right there. All you have to do, if you click that with your phone right now, it'll take you right there, and you can subscribe without leaving the show. And there's the fancy logo. So I made a QR code of it right there so that you can subscribe and not leave the show. It's super fancy. Take that down in 3, 2, 1. So you can subscribe there, or you can just go to Bay Area Sports Collective and check things out there. But check them out. Bay Area Sports Collective, me and Tommy and Polymac doing shows all the time. Jesus is here this morning. Hurley Bird, this is great, man, that everybody is coming in on a Saturday. Absolutely love it. JP from the 510 is here. Keeping the Faith is here. That is great. Jared, SF, look at you are up early, my brother. Morning, Lunday. You're in Hawaii, bro. Good morning. I might be seeing you soon, man, depending on what island you're on. Maybe taking the show on the road. William Roberts, I don't know if I've seen William. If you have been here before, and I'm acknowledging just for the first time, I apologize. Bill M., it is great to see you, my friend. He is a Lund loyalist. Thank you, Bill M. Franco, I am all juiced up, but it's legal, low T, not anymore. I want to know about the intro. Very sexy intro, Mr. Lund. Got to grab some paper towels now. I did that as a joke, just so everybody knows. Just, it's a Saturday. Thought I would be chilling into that whole thing. But did you like that music? Did you dig it? Kleenex. I knew it would get a reaction. I'll have to play it again some other time. I'm not going to just play it every time. I'm just going to, I want to just surprise you with it. The very sexy. voiced woman. But anyway, there you go. David, it is tremendous to see you, my friend. Yeah, they were, by the end of that show, did you watch it? Let me just pop this one up. Ratto probably woke up on Tom's couch this morning. If you guys didn't watch Ratto and Tom, go back to Bay Area Sports Collective. And I'm not saying fast forward through the whole thing. Hi, Chris, another Lund loyalist. Thank you. Wow. That is a great first question today. I don't know how often. You tell me. Anyway, yeah, by the end of that whole thing, man, I was like, I love you. I love you. I love you. No, I love you. No, I love you. Like and subscribe. Thank you, Papa J. I appreciate any promotion we can. Tolbert almost lost his beer. Yeah, I was in and out because Tommy usually does a tight hour. And man, and the sun was going, and Ratto was all sunburned and stuff. And I thought his beard was going to burn off. Anyway, good morning to everybody. It is tremendous to see you on a Saturday, and I never take your time for granted. So thank you. All right, let's get to this whole thing. Let's finally get to something 11 minutes into the show. But we have a lot to talk about to start everything. But let's get to all this. Man, is there a bunch going on. So as you saw in the on the show cover right there, I call that the show cover, 49ers still desperate to win. You see John, you see Jed, you see Kyle, you see Brandon, you see Brock Purdy there. Now, look, there's a great piece out right now by Mike Silver in The Athletic, and I encourage you to read it. I know it costs a couple of bucks, but it's certainly worth it. The premise of the piece, and Mike has certainly dialed into the 49ers, but I know a little bit about the 49ers myself. And the premise is that the 49ers are changing things a little bit. Now, if you've been watching the show on any kind of regular basis, and a lot of people in the room have been, I've been saying that for weeks. Steve Young told you that on the Rich Eisen show at least a week ago. Mike Silver is great, but this isn't overly new news. That Jed York was not happy with the way that the negotiations for Brandon Ayuk went. The piece for Silver opens up with the whole thing about Kyle running up the stairs, and that is 100% accurate. Kyle's been asked about it. I've been told about it in detail as well, and that did happen. When you buy things, let's relate to this to everyday life for a second. When you buy things on a whim or in a desperate fashion, oftentimes it doesn't turn out well. Well, the reason it didn't turn out well for Brandon Ayuk, and this thing's not over, the reason why it hasn't turned out well so far for Brandon Ayuk, and it's not over, is he got hurt last year. Of course you're pissed. You gave out all that money, and then the guy gets hurt. You have a 6-11 season. And what happens when we all do this? We all say things when we're in a bad mood, when things aren't going right, and if the guys are going to retire. It happens all the time in sports. Jed York's pissed right now. His ROI, return on investment, for his 2024 season, where they spent $334 million, and that says it in the piece, and I told you that was the number last week. Yeah, you're going to be upset. You're pissed that the number for edge rushers with Bosa is over $30 million. You're pissed that Brandon Ayuk, $30 million, which, by the way, it's a 3-76. It's $25 million, but still, that's a big deal. You're pissed that you haven't won the Super Bowl. You're upset about all these kind of things. But the best thing that Jed York did, and this is why I don't completely believe the story, not the reporting, not that it's not accurate, but that Jed York is going to somehow change all of a sudden. A guy who's desperate to win a Super Bowl, and that's the word I use, desperate. I was down there during the regular season and had been doing this for years and years. Since 2016, I've been with KNBR. 2019, I started with Papa, and we went down there on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and then if there was a home game, I went there on the Sunday. I went to training camp. I know a few people down there, and I know what it feels like down there. And it's a desperation that you can feel. That whole thing is not going to change. He's frustrated. Jed York is frustrated. There's no doubt about it. The numbers keep going up. The money keeps going up. It gets to be ridiculous. Geno Smith, which we'll get to in a minute, was traded by the Seahawks. Not so much because the Seahawks don't like Geno Smith. It's just they don't like him at $40 to $45 million, and they're going to do a reset at the position, and I'll get into it in a second. It was a hell of a ballsy move by Seattle. Whether you like them or not, what I constantly tell you about quarterbacks, and this is going to lead to Brock Purdy, so hang on for just one second. What I constantly tell you about quarterbacks is they have a team over a barrel. You're desperate. You have nowhere to go. Now, if the 49ers wanted to also all of a sudden go about face and say, you know what, we're going to go after Sam Darnold, because Sam Darnold's going to cost us, I don't know, 30 or 35, maybe $40 million. That might be the number by the end with Sam Darnold, but it's one season. So he's not going to get 60 like Brock, and Brock's going to get 55 to 60. And I'll tell you about a story I had when I posted that yesterday. But I digress. Geno Smith's 34 years old. The Raiders picked him up because they're changing culture. They're in a totally different place. They're not trying to win a Super Bowl. They got Pete Carroll. He's a culture changer. They got Geno Smith. He's a decent quarterback, mid-level to lower quarterback in the NFL, but he's going to change things for them. He's a lot better than Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell or anybody else they had. My kid's a Raiders fan, and he was just pissed. Sent me this long email long text that he doesn't email. He's 21. He sent me this long text about how, the Raiders, and I tried to explain to him that, look, they're in a building block process, and they're right here. They don't want to be at the bottom, but they're right here. And you look at their division, and what they're trying to build is culture change. Well, what the 49ers are still trying to do is win a Super Bowl, and they're in a Super Bowl window. They believe it, but Jed York is frustrated. That's what it comes down to. So you're trying to make me believe that Jed York, who I know for a fact, is desperate to win a Super Bowl, the first for the organization since the 1994 season in over 30 years. Steve Young was the quarterback. That's how long it's been. We know that. All of a sudden, he's like, you know what? It's not that important to me anymore. And that's what the article suggests, that it's just not as important to him. And I just don't buy that, because I tell you this all the time. There are certain organizations that win, and winning is everything. The Niners are one of those organizations. The Warriors are one of those organizations under Joe Lacob. The Mavericks were under Mark Cuban. The Yankees always will be. The Dodgers are. Everybody thinks every owner wants to win. They don't. I've told you this time and time and time again, because in almost 30 years of doing this, I've talked to numerous owners, both on and off the air. Some treat it and have told me this on the air, which was like, dude, you probably shouldn't say that on the air. But I've got owners on the air tell me that this is just one of my 50 businesses, and that's how I treat it. And I'm like, wow, okay. You can say that behind closed doors. You probably don't want to say that to your general public. I don't think the Giants want to win at a high level. I think the Giants want to turn turnstiles, make Oracle Park the number one player on their team. That's the most important thing, and garlic fries and all these kind of things. That's what the Giants want. Turn the turnstiles. And there's nothing wrong with that. Fans sit there and they go, how come he doesn't want to win? Because it's a business, and that's how they treat it. And it's businesses for a lot of owners, or sports franchises for a lot of owners. The business is the underlying engine of it, and you have like a Ferrari, and you think that's the main thing. No, it's not. It's about the engine, and the engine is the business. And so a lot of fans don't understand that for a lot of owners, it's just another business, and they want to run it like a business, and they want a profit every single year. That's just how it is. That's the A's operated that way and still do, and I don't care who they're signing on the side. They're just doing that for superficial reasons. They don't want to win. They want to give the perception that they want to win. The Giants want to give the perception that they want to win. They don't want to win. Not at that high level. They're not willing to take the risks. That's what I mean. The Giants won't take the risks. A lot of teams won't take the risk. Whoa. What if we go in the dumps and then people won't come out and the business is screwed? That's kind of the thought behind it. So certain organizations want to win at all costs. And certain organizations are just, Jed York wants to win. I know that for a fact. So whether they're changing things a little bit philosophically of the way they want to do business, okay. Does the buck stop at Brock Purdy? It does not. Brock Purdy will be signed. And if he wasn't going to be re-signed, then you should have gone after a Sam Darnold, who I think is going to end up in Seattle. This is an offseason in which there are a couple of options. You may not love the options, but if Jed York was that pissed off, and this is going to be his worst negotiation yet, you're going to take a guy from $1 million a year. It's going to be the largest raise in the history of the NFL. Let me say that again. Brock Purdy's contract will be the largest raise in the history of the NFL. So if you think he had sticker shock on Nick Bosa, if you think he had sticker shock on Brandon Ayuk, you ain't seen nothing yet, brother. Because when you go from $1 million, and it's not going to be $1 million to 60. It's not, hitting the gas pedal. How fast can you get to 60 kind of a thing? 0 to 60. It's not 0 to 60. It's 1 to about, 20 in the first year, 18, whatever it's going to be. Then the second year is going to be big. And then the third year is going to be like, oh my God, it's going to be like $75 million. Now, I don't know how long the contract's going to be. I tell you this all the time. Brandon Ayuk's fourth year with the 49ers, his number balloons in cap value from 16 to 42. Contract over in the fourth year. It's a 3-year, $76 million deal. When you see cap numbers, and you can go to SpotRack, you can go to overthecap.com, and you see the number, when it jumps astronomically, contract's over. It's not really hard to read. So that's the way it goes. So Brandon Ayuk gets a 4-year, 120. It's a 3 and 76, which isn't much more than Debo got or DK got or McLaurin got or any of those guys within that realm. So it's not that outrageous. But he doesn't like that these numbers are going where they're going. Then if you don't, then you got to sell the team. Well, he's selling 10% of the team because he wants to get about $900 million so he can actually pay these guys out. Because everybody goes, sell the team. Well, you don't want totally out of it. So sell 10% of the team, get about $1 billion out of it, and then you can pay more. And they've got a soccer team. They have a lot of stuff going on. But Jed York, bottom line to this whole thing is, despite what the piece says, and it's accurate, and Mike's great, but despite what the piece says, the 49ers still are desperate, I tell you, to win a Super Bowl. So they're not going to go all, let's rebuild. That's not going to help things. That's not what they do. They want to win a Super Bowl. His outlook has not changed. And it makes no sense whatsoever to think that Jed York all of a sudden went from the pile of owners who wants to win at a really high level to the owner that goes, whatever. That's not what it is. That's not what that's not what Eddie D was about. It's not what the 49ers are about. They've never been about that since about early 80s. That's not what they do. They're not going to have a philosophical shift that says we don't want to win, maybe not at all costs, but at a really high level. And I can tell you, having been there time and time again, like I said, during the football season, about 3 times a week, there is something in the air that you can feel when you go down there. Any of my friends can tell you, I say that all the time. You can feel it in the air. They want to win. So whatever that piece says, don't be confused, because we're going to hear about now Monday morning. Monday morning when they don't sign anybody, and you're going to come on and you're going to be in the comment section, or you're going to hit me up on YouTube, or you're going to hit me up on X or Instagram or any of the ways you can get a hold of me at JohnLundUnleashed.com, whatever. And you go to Lund, they didn't sign anybody. You're a stupid ass. You can call me a stupid ass for a lot of reasons, but they're not going to be day oneers. They're not going to go out with the desperate teams with all the money that do this every single year. The Jacksonvilles of the league that throw around stupid money, and then 2 years later have to trade Christian Kirk to the Texans after overpaying a guy. That's what teams who are desperate do. They're not doing that. The Javon Hargrave, this is what I'm talking about. There's a big difference between saying we're not going to do day one Javon Hargrave signings anymore, and we're not going to sign Brock Purdy. Those are two totally separate things. And people are misconstruing it, and people love doing this because they think it's going to get a bunch of clicks. Oh, the 49ers are done, and they've changed, and Jed this and that. It's not happening. It's like Joe Lacob saying, are we going to win? Because if we're not going to win at a high level, if we're going to be in the 10th spot, we're going to be a play-in game, I'm not paying penalties. That makes sense to me. Now, when he gets an opportunity to get Jimmy Butler, what did Joe Lacob do? He went over the tax again, and he spent a bunch of money, and he gave the guy an extension because he knows he can't help it. He's like, I got to win. And he goes and he gives Butler the extension and looks pretty good so far. The same thing with Jed. He's not going to go like this. Not going to do it. The going rate for a quarterback, and let me get this into Geno Smith now. The going rate for a really good quarterback like Brock Purdy is in the 50 to 55 million range. And then every single year, there's a raise involved. It's not flat. The NFL doesn't go flat for great players. It goes up and up and up and up and up. Joe Montana was the first $1 million quarterback per season in 1989. How long ago was that? 36 years ago. And it's just gone up from there. It doesn't ever go flat because the revenue continues to go up. You think that because Netflix is involved and Amazon is involved and all this kind of stuff, you think it's going to stay flat? Those guys are giving the NFL more, and more. The 𝐾𝐨 contracts always go up. The commercials are always more expensive. Out of your pocket every year to support your team, whether it be tickets or however you want to support your team, goes up. It doesn't go down. It doesn't stay flat. It goes up. So what do you think salaries do? They go up. So Brock is not going to make less. So yesterday on X, I sent this thing out because I saw this thing on Geno Smith that he wants 40 to 45 million in Seattle. Again, a ballsy move, whether you hate him or not. Said we're not comfortable with paying Geno Smith $40 to $45 million. So they're going to let the Raiders do it. And the Raiders are in a different position. As I said, they're trying to grow and change culture. They'll give Geno Smith $40 to $45 million to change culture. He's 34. So in a couple of years, he's going to be gone. And they're going to have this contract, and everybody's going to say how big it is. And it's not really. It's probably a 1-year deal is what it comes down to. And then they're going to draft somebody. Maybe it's not Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward now at 6, but they're going to probably go in the second round to get a Jackson Dart or a Will Howard or somebody like that. And they're going to groom them as the quarterback because that's the direction they're going to go. So to make that, to kind of correlate that to the 49ers, if they want to, if Jed has really drawn a hard line in the sand, he can say, this is it. I'm not going to have the biggest raise in NFL history on my books. From zero, about $1 million, but I'm saying 0 to 60 just because it's a fun thing to say. 0 to 60, like a car, in 3.2 seconds. But he's going to go from $1 million on the cap to an AAV of around 60 is what it's going to end up being. And it's the largest raise in the history of the game, even though that's just, they're going to move the shell game around and they're going to still have money to spend. And they're not out on certain free agents. They're not going to be day one guys, but they are going to get certain free agents. We hear Jonathan Allen's name. That's legit. There are certain players that they're going to talk to and they're going to get. They're not going to say we're not in on this thing and we're rebuilding. That's not what they're going to do. That's not what the building's about. If it was about that, John Lynch could go right back to TV and make more money. Why is John Lynch hanging around? You know the answer to it. To win a Super Bowl. It's the only reason he's here. He's a goals-driven guy, and he wants to win a Super Bowl. And then the next day, he's probably going to Fox or whoever who's going to pay him a lot more money for a lot less effort. John Lynch is working his ass off right now, getting ready for free agency in the draft. Why would he do that? He doesn't get to hang around his family, none of those kind of things. Why do you think he's doing it? So that they can go, 10-7 and go to the playoffs? Do you think Kyle Shanahan's hanging around for 10-7 and barely getting to the playoffs? He's not. And neither is Jed York. So all this stuff about they want to win less or they don't have that drive or they don't, Super Bowl's not as important. We're talking about the 49ers. Just use a little bit of logic here. It's been that way since the early 80s and it's not changing. Will things change a little bit? Yeah. But if they were going to change, they wouldn't sign Brock Purdy. They'd do what Seattle did with Geno Smith. We're not comfortable with that number. We're going to get Daniel Jones. We're not comfortable with that number. We're going to try to get Sam Darnold. Whatever. We're not comfortable with that number. We're going to get Aaron Rodgers. And I told you about Aaron Rodgers. The ego of he and Kyle Shanahan couldn't fit in the entire Bay Area, let alone a building. So Aaron Rodgers is not coming here. That's not happening. They didn't draft him in 2005. It doesn't matter. That's not coming around. The circle doesn't come around that way. It's not going to. Because if they weren't comfortable with Brock Purdy, they could sign Aaron Rodgers tomorrow, and it wouldn't cost them $60 million. And I don't know what Aaron Rodgers would agree to, but he's clearly not the player he was. I mean, he might be at 40. And you could do it on a short-term deal. So, save a few bucks there if Jed wanted to do it. He's not going to do that. He's going to author the biggest contract increase in the history of the league. And he's not happy about Brandon Ayuk, and he's not happy about Nick, and he's not happy about 6 and 11. He's pissed off and he's venting about it. But that doesn't mean he doesn't want to win with a burning passion. Like I said, I know it. I've been down there. I can feel it. So there's that. Now let me just go from that to the Geno situation and how it affects Brock Purdy's contract. So yesterday I saw something by, I think it was Diana Rossini, who works with Mike Silver and knows a lot. So I know all this kind of contributed together, this piece that he wrote. And I saw that where the Raiders are going to be comfortable with 40 to 45 million. As I told you, they're in a different place, and I understand why they're going to do that. Seattle says, we're not comfortable with that. You never see this because, like I say, you don't have to be the latest. You have to be the latest, not the greatest. And normally teams just go, yes, I got to pay this guy because there's no other option. Well, Seattle's got a plan, first of all, which I'll get into in a second. But if Geno Smith at 34, never been to a conference championship game, never took a team to a Super Bowl, 10 years older than Brock Purdy, just about at 25, because people are like, oh, there's no way. I said, Geno Smith's getting 40 to 45, and you're saying that he's not underpaid. He's making 25 this year, so they're going to redo that deal. Brock Purdy's making 60 or damn close to it because he's 25. He's been to an NFC championship game, got his arm ripped off, been to a Super Bowl, could have won it. Wasn't his fault they lost it. And he's only 25, so he's going to be your quarterback for the foreseeable future, the toughest position in all of sports to handle. Last year, I'm not going to say it can be explained away because it can't, but it would be nice if he had some weapons and an offensive line that could protect him to a certain amount, and his center wasn't always on the ground. I'm not going to make excuses for Brock Purdy throwing the ball down the right sideline against the Rams into double coverage to Juwan Jennings or any of those other kind of things that he didn't look like himself. He turned the ball over way too much. Your superpower, Brock, is to not turn the ball over and to be smart with the ball. That's what you did your first couple of years. Because of injuries, he had to do too much. I expect Brock Purdy to 100% bounce back and be a great quarterback. And the 49ers do too. So if Geno Smith at 34, having not accomplished what Brock Purdy has accomplished at 25, is going to get at $40 to $45 million, sorry to tell you, Brock's getting that kind of money. He's getting $55 to $60 million. It's a fact. So that's going to happen. And so when I saw that with Geno, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. 25-year-old quarterback, 34-year-old quarterback, stopgap quarterback with the Raiders, franchise quarterback with the 49ers. You may not be smart enough, as a lot of fans of the Raiders clearly weren't on my Twitter X feed yesterday. If I have to explain it to you, then you just don't understand the game enough. That's all there is to it. So because he gets that number, Brock's going to get that number, and his agent's dancing. I mean, it's just how it is. 34-year-old, not accomplished. That's all he has to do is go to the meeting with the Niners. They offered him 45. I know that. But the reality is that's where you start negotiations. If you want to end at 45, you don't start at 45. If you want to end at 55, you start at 45. It's going to be between 55 and 60. It's just a fact. I don't know how the money's going to be distributed. That's the main part. Because, like I said, the Brandon Ayuk deal is 4 and 120. It's actually 3 and 76. So we'll see ultimately what Brock gets versus what's reported. There's a massive difference in that way. The agent wants it to be reported a certain way so that he can celebrate, and that gets him more clients. Well, that's the agent that got Brock Purdy $60 million. We got to sign with that guy. I mean, that's part of the game within the game. So it does matter what Geno Smith does, and it's ballsy what the Seahawks did. And it affects the 49ers. But if the 49ers didn't like Brock Purdy, we'd be hearing those same things. They're going after Sam Darnold. They're going after Aaron Rodgers. And I don't think they're doing either of those things. So he's pissed and he's upset. But that ain't nothing. The Bosa deal, the Ayuk deal, any of these other deals, that ain't nothing to what's coming with Brock Purdy, because that's going to be the largest increase in NFL history. He's just mad because they went 6-11 and he spent all that money and I spent $334 million for 6-11. He's an owner. He's venting. He's pissed. Makes sense. Doesn't mean there's going to be a philosophical change and that he doesn't want to win Super Bowls desperately. That's just born and bred into him. It's his DNA. It's not going to change. I've decided as I've gotten a little older that wild cards are fine and we'll just keep the turnstiles moving like the Giants. That's not Jed York. It's not going to be that way. So anyway, I could be wrong. The Geno stuff I just mentioned, there you go. And that's what I said right there. It says Geno Smith is expected to get a new deal with Vegas. And then I said, and they say Brock Purdy won't get $60 million. And then a bunch of mainly Raider fans were like, rah, rah. Geno Smith isn't Brock Purdy. He's 34 and never been to a Super Bowl, never been to an NFC Championship game. Brock's 25. He's going to be a franchise quarterback for this team. Geno Smith is a stopgap for the Raiders. And he's not a bad one at that. I'm not mad at the deal if I'm a Raider, like my son texted me, was just going bananas. I'm like, dude, it's fine. So anyway, there's that side as we are on the chalkboard with Bay Area Sports Collective, Jed York, 49ers approach, Geno to the Raiders. Let me go to Darnold to the Seahawks. And I don't know if anybody's fearful of this, but this is another thing I say all the time. If somebody does something, there's another move. If it doesn't make sense to you, especially when it comes to the quarterbacks, teams in the NFL do not expose themselves at the quarterback position without a plan. And that's what Seattle has done. When I was talking about the Rams situation with Stafford and talking about him to the Raiders, first of all, I always knew that was a bluff. It was a bluff that he was going to go to the Raiders. It was a bluff that the Rams basically went, okay, Stafford, go find your market. He did. He called their bluff. The Rams said, okay, fine. And they paid him the money. So what Seattle's doing is they trade Geno Smith for a third-round pick. They're trying to change their team. They've got a new head coach in there. Geno Smith wanted 40 to 45 million. They said no. If Sam Darnold wasn't available, Geno Smith would be a Seahawk at $40 to $45 million. But in the rare occasion, and this is what's happening right now, teams are afraid because Sam Darnold only had the one good year in Minnesota with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and a great head coach in Kevin O'Connor, and he fit their system and all these different things. He was in a perfect situation to have that kind of a year. But we know this, 49ers coaches really liked him. He was the third overall pick for a reason, because he had these physical traits. And sometimes in the NFL, we live in a microwave society that if you're not great right away, and I'm the same way. I'm not saying I'm different. We label somebody as a bust or they suck. I saw Sam Darnold play with the Jets. Bust, sucks, next. Bust, next, sucks. Best, sucks, next. Anyway, I got that confused. But you got my idea. If a guy's not good right away, we're going to throw him on the trash heap and let's get another one. Well, it looks to me like Sam Darnold, kind of like Baker Mayfield, it took a while. He had to be rehabbed mentally more than physically, and all of a sudden he's kind of figured it out. And so to me, Seattle's going to get Sam Darnold. He's a West Coast guy, went to SC, obviously, grew up in Southern California. If the 49ers wanted to do that, I think he'd be more than happy to come back to the 49ers if Jed York was serious and wanted to draw the line at Brock Purdy, but we're not hearing that. So to me, I think Seattle and Sam Darnold are dotting I's, crossing T's, and Sam Darnold is going to be a Seahawk early in this process. And then that whole tampering thing. But Lund, that would be tampering. I get that all the time. Everybody hits me up on social media when it came to like Vlad Guerrero and all that. They can't talk to him. He's under contract. Whatever. When at 12:01 a.m. on Monday, Sam Darnold becomes a Seahawk, that was the greatest negotiation of all time, and it happened in 60 seconds. Wow. We see it all the time. Guys sign, Schefter's reporting it. How did they negotiate that? If they didn't tamper, of course they tampered. They talk all the time. They don't have to talk directly. I don't know if it's a burner phone. I don't know if it's somebody on the Seahawks knows Leonard Williams went to USC. Text Sam Darnold. What do you think? They're just whatever. There's ways to communicate. I don't know if you know this, but there's ways to communicate. It doesn't have to be directly through an agent or whatever. They can go back channels. That's what they're doing. They're not trading Geno Smith for a 3rd-round pick and having Sam Howell as their quarterback next year. It's not happening. So I think Darnold's going to be a Seahawk. I think they're dotting I's and crossing T's. I think that Seattle did that. That's the reason they did that. And the reason why it relates to the 49ers is if Jed York was serious and wanted to draw a line in the sand and I'm pissed off and I don't care about winning Super Bowls anymore, which is not true, then he could do that. He could say, I'm not going to be the guy who signed off on the biggest salary increase in the history of the league. Like if he's really pissed, that would be the last thing he'd do, right? It's like when you wake up with a hangover and then you go clean up and you get a whiff of the vodka bottle from last night. You're like, whoa, I'm not drinking. Like some people do that, but I'm not. So if he was really that pissed, he wouldn't do it. Seattle did it. It's rare, but they know what they're going to do. I 100% believe that. So there's Darnold to the Seahawks. In terms of Jonathan Allen, let me give you this from Nick Allen, from Nick Wagner of ESPN. Great guy. Tremendous with the numbers. Should be following him. So again, if Jed York didn't want to do anything, and maybe he won't, and I don't know that Jonathan Allen is a day oneer. Maybe he is. Maybe he's got a place he wants to go. But there were rumors that Jonathan Allen would be coming to the 49ers in the Deebo trade. Did not happen. Former first-round pick out of Alabama. He's about 30 years old. Going to make $16 million. Can they fit Jonathan Allen in? I don't know. I'm sure there's a number of different teams, but here's Nick Wagner. 49ers had interest in Allen trade talks for Deebo. Dollars are too high. Like I said, about $16 million per season. Assuming they'll be lower now, would think the Niners have interest. As with everything, price will be a deciding factor. So I don't know. That will also tell me if the 49ers are in or out. I'm on this one, I don't think they're going to get Jonathan Allen. I haven't heard DJ Jones' name other than he's a fit. They know him. It makes sense. He's 30. He's not going to cost as much as Jonathan Allen would. With Nick Bosa and an edge rusher, which I think they're going to try to get, you don't need to be you don't need superstar defensive tackles in this whole thing. And that's what when they look back and they let Armstead go, was injured, making too much money, all that. You need good defensive tackles. You don't need superstar defensive tackles. Now, are they going to go early for a defensive tackle? They might. But one of the reasons I don't think they're going to pay for Jonathan Allen is, and I've told you this before, Daniel Jeremiah, who's great with the draft with NFL Network, said there are 24 starting defensive tackles in his mind with his rating system in the NFL draft. Last year, there were 12. So with the 49ers thinking to themselves, are we going to pay or not? I like Jonathan Allen. But he's going to command a lot of money because the salary cap increase in the league, teams need defensive tackles. I don't see the 49ers doing another Javon Hargrave kind of a situation and going after Jonathan Allen. I just don't. Now, it could happen. I'm just saying with the draft loaded with defensive tackles, and they don't have to take one at 11, even though there's a lot of nice ones, I just don't think the 49ers are going to do that given what the draft is and given the fact that DJ Jones has a connection here. And I always look at connections. Who did the guy play for? Who did the guy play with? They had an interest in Jonathan Allen because they were trading with Washington. Now, Adam Peters, there's a connection there, but once Jonathan Allen is released by the Commanders, there's not an Adam Peters connection anymore. That's why there was rumors, because Jonathan Allen, Adam Peters worked for the Niners, Deebo's going to Washington. But they said that they didn't want to pay that kind of money. So can you get a long-term contract with Jonathan Allen where the number's low early and there's all this funny money at the end of it? You could do that. That's probably what he's going to end up signing. I think it's far more likely they sign DJ Jones and then look to the draft. And if there are guys there in the first, Mason Graham drops from Michigan, or I love the Grant kid who's incredibly big, or Walter Nolan's really quick, but I don't even think they should go at that point. If there's 24 starting defensive tackles in Daniel Jeremiah's mind, then I'm waiting to the second or the third round for that. Draft is about who you get, no doubt, but draft is about value. And the 49ers need an edge, which they go quickly because it's a premium position. So, edge, defensive tackle. If you're going defensive tackle at number 11, he better be really special. Mason Graham, if he drops, Jalen Carter went at 10. Defensive tackles will go early, and there's no doubt. But it's not a premium position. And if you're taking a defensive tackle at 11, he better be a badass. Warren Sapp went in that range. You see defensive tackles will go in that range if he's a complete superstar. Quinnen Williams went third after Bosa. So you'll see it, but not as much. Edge is premium. Corner is premium. Obviously, quarterback is premium. We're finding out receivers were premium for like 2 seconds and they're not anymore. It was like, what were we thinking last year? Were we drunk in 2024? We signed all those guys. A lot of teams are trying to undo that. So there are premium positions in the league. Defensive tackle is not considered a premium position unless it's just a total game record, which Quinnen Williams is. But it's rare that you see that. So look, Mason Graham could drop to 11 and all of a sudden the Niners going, this guy's pretty good. So I could see that. But if it's Walter Nolan or any guys like that who I really like, I think they can get that same kind of player in the second or the third round. And so I don't think they're going to do that. Now, Jonathan Allen's nice, but you don't have to have a super defensive tackle. By the way, in that, I meant to mention this. Seattle asked for Max Crosby. Did you see this? When trade talks started between the Seahawks and the Raiders, Seattle offered Geno Smith and DK Metcalf for Max Crosby. The Raiders were like, get out of here. You got to ask, though. I got no issue with the Seahawks asking. But they're like, how about no? How about no? All right, let me give some thoughts because there's my stuff on the NFL today as we took about 40 minutes to hit on that. But I do want to get some of your thoughts on what I just said there, and then we'll move on to Jokic and all these other things. Do I have anything football-wise to show you other than that? Yeah, okay, I don't. Oh, there is one thing that you're going to laugh at. And I do have one thing NFL-related and Geno Smith-related, but it relates to the 49ers and something I tell you all the time. So let me just hit up some of the chats on this Saturday. And we'll laugh about that. By the way, John Lund Unleashed, thank you so much for joining us on YouTube. John Lund Unleashed, you can subscribe. Go to johnlundunleashed.com. I got a new piece coming out on Jed York later this afternoon. So just wanted to let you know about that. Also, if you haven't heard, there's a piece in the Chronicle you should check out before I get out to the lines real quick. Where is that thing? It's got Tommy's picture, not mine on it, but it should. There you go. Bay Area Sports Collective. 3 well-known Bay Area sports broadcasters have come together to launch the Bay Area Sports Collective, an all-digital podcast network focused on delivering fresh sports commentary like this. And then in tiny, tiny, tiny letters, it says, I can barely read it, Tom Tolbert, Paul McCaffrey, John Lund, blah, blah, blah. So you can check that out. But Bay Area Sports Collective, so we're on Bay Area Sports Collective on YouTube, and please make sure you are following on that. All right, let me show you this. This is great. So I tell you things on the show all the time and at our personal philosophies, or just to kind of remind you of things that you probably already know. But especially with free agency coming up on Monday, the draft's not too far off on that. But in sports, and this is why I'm trying to teach something, which is you can't always believe what especially executives and head coaches are saying. They just the people that have a microphone in front of them in sports. Because they just can't tell you the truth. They can't tell you what's going on. John Schneider of the Seahawks can't tell you that they're in talks to trade Geno Smith, that they don't like the number that's being thrown around. So this is 10 days ago at the Combine. And yesterday, Geno Smith gets traded by the Seahawks. And this is just a cautionary tale because all the time, people are constantly on social media. So-and-so said this, so-and-so said this, so-and-so, like it's the gospel. And it's just not that way. And I'm not calling these guys liars. John Lynch is not a liar. John Schneider is not a liar. It's just the way the game has to be played. You have to, I don't know, what's the word? You have to be selectively truthful in professional sports. You have to be selectively truthful because you can't tell people what you're going to do because stuff's coming out anyway, an agent and things like this is why it's amazing this state's so quiet because usually it's an agent bitching and moaning and all these kind of things. But they were 10 days ago, I guarantee they were talking to the Raiders and saying to themselves, hey, this number that Geno Smith is throwing around, we don't like. And teams were digging. This didn't just happen yesterday. So here's John Schneider about 10 days ago on with Pro Football Talk, Mike Florio and Chris Sims.
Smith has been your starting quarterback ever since Russell Wilson was traded to the Broncos, entering the last year of his contract. Mike McDonald's made it clear that's his guy. Yep. I mean, is there any doubt that Geno Smith is the guy for 2025?
No, I mean, Geno, we'll be meeting with his guys down here hopefully the next day or two. I'm not sure when we have that scheduled, but, he finished the season strong. He got banged up there towards the end. Really sucked it up, but like all of us, right? Like you have some of those decisions you want to have back, but in totality, he had a really nice season, and I don't foresee him not being with us.
So you know what I'm always saying that? Don't believe anything. It's lying season. You're like, Lund, what are you talking about? You don't know anything. John Schneider's not a bad guy, and I don't even consider that lying in professional sports. I call that selective truth. Selective truth. Because John Schneider can't tell you, you know what, Mike Florio? Yeah, we're looking to trade him to the Raiders. Like, why would you can't say that. When you're asked a point blank direct question like that, of course you have to say he's going to be our quarterback. It keeps you leverage. If you say we're looking into trading Geno Smith, leverage goes, and then all the, Then all the piranhas come and, like, yeah, we're gonna get you because we know you don't have any leverage. You just say you're gonna trade him. You just said that you're having problems in contract negotiations. You just said that he's not worth $40 to $45 million, which is what he's asking for. Leverage. Lying season. 24/7, 365 in professional sports. And I don't even consider it lying. It's selective truth because they can't. So when John Lynch says something like Debo's going to be here, and then a month later he's gone, what's he going to say? We don't want Debo around. Debo had a terrible year. We know that. We used to have a thing called the Truth Machine that I authored. Actually, Mitch Moss and I. Mitch Moss is is in Vegas doing an awesome job. But we did the Truth Machine. And the reason why we did the Truth Machine, because they're not always telling the truth, and they can't be telling the truth. It's stupid. If your general manager or head coach is always telling the truth, no matter what sport you like, then you should be pissed off. Like, sometimes it's needed or necessary. Sometimes to light a fire under a guy's ass, you have to say he was terrible tonight. We can't have that. He's got to play better. Like, sometimes you need to do that. But most of the time, you can go up to the player without the gaze of the press and say, hey, man, we need more. Like, you can keep a lot of things behind the scenes. If you see something go public from an organization, a team, an owner, an executive, a GM, they did it on purpose. There was a reason behind it. But when they lie, it's not lying. You can't say that. You can't say Geno's on the block. You can't say we don't want Debo. You can't. It doesn't work that way. So I saw that yesterday and I just rolled because I say it all the time. And then people come to me, but John Lynch said this. But Kyle Shanahan said that. Now, Kyle's not a very good liar at all. But executives all the time. John Schneider is an amazing liar. I mean, look, he didn't even flinch. Look at this again.
Smith has been your starting quarterback ever since Russell Wilson was traded to the Broncos, entering the last year of his contract. Mike McDonald's made it clear that's his guy.
Yep.
I mean, is there any doubt that Geno Smith is the guy for 2025?
No, I mean, Gino will be meeting with this guy.
Poker face. I mean, that's just like poker face, man. I don't play poker with John Lynch. He just flat out lied straight to Mike Florio's face and didn't even flinch. Nah, no doubt. Love that guy. Love that guy. That's why I don't. With Kyle Shanahan, he's not a great liar. When he, after the season, had that press conference and just salivaed all over Brock Purdy, he means that. He loves him, even at the number. He loves him. Just like licked his face. I mean, I love the guy. John Schneider is just cold and calculated. And like I said, I don't even consider that lying, even though I just said he lied. He didn't really lie. He was selectively truthful with Mike Florio. He's not going to tell him the truth. So anyway, there's your lesson of the day. Lying season, 24/7, 365. 24/7, 365. Just saying. It's crazy. So when somebody says something, just think about the logic. Rather than just saying, well, he said it. That person said that, so it's true. It's kind of like the internet. Selective. Use your instincts a little bit. It's not always truthful. So anyway, what else do we have on the lines today? God, my eyes are still messed up from those eye drops. Ayuk smoke still out there. There's no doubt. I keep telling you this, and it could happen. I'm not saying it couldn't. $18 million gets accelerated on the cap minus his salary for the season. And it'll be about $11 million for Brandon Ayuk not to play for you. So I know that Jed York's pissed off. But and I'm sure they've already said it to him, when the bean counters say, okay, I get it, Jed, but you're going to have to replace the guy. Then you're going to need a number one wide receiver. It's going to probably cost you more. And oh, by the way, you're paying Debo $31 not to play for you. And then you'd be paying Ayuk $18 not to play for you. And you're paying Eric Armstead still not to play for you. And you're paying Charvarius Ward still not to play for you. And on and on and on. They're over $60 million in money that the 49ers are paying this upcoming season, 2025, for players not to play for them. That would piss me off worse. Then I know I'm pissed about the Ayuk thing, but the other thing I would explain is it's 3-76. Still a lot of money. It's not 4-120. So I don't know. I'm just saying. Something to know. No, I'm not doing anything. It's just I put eye drops in beforehand, and my eyes are just not drying out. So I'm trying to read as best I can here. But I may need to go, even though I had the laser done, and my eyes are generally good. I may have to go to glasses just to read small print, because every once in a while I have to do that if I have if I put eye drops in. So anyway. Let me just double check and then we'll move on, because DK Metcalf is going next. I don't know where everyone's saying Patriots. Hi 49ers, Brian. Good to see you. Everyone's saying Patriots on DK. That'd be great. If I was a Niners fan, I'd be like, go to the Patriots. I don't care. They need a weapon. What scares me though about that is, look, I'd rather have DK than a draft pick. I don't care. I think DK is one of the most underutilized, undervalued, not underrated, but undervalued wide receivers in the league because Seattle just hasn't figured out how to use them. And I don't know that New England would as well, but I'm not saying that I want this to happen. But if DK was like on the Eagles or give me a great quarterback, was on Kansas City, which I wouldn't want to see or anybody like that, DK Metcalf could blow the top off the league. And not that necessarily Hurts is that great, but I'm just saying if he was in Cincinnati with Burrow or something like that, a lot of times things are about your situation. And DK played with Russell Wilson at the end, and Pete Carroll wants to run the football. And then last year he had a college offensive coordinator with Geno Smith throwing on the ball. He hasn't been in a situation where it's like an upper level team that can throw the football and have somebody, the 49ers. He's not coming to the 49ers. I'm just saying, like DK Metcalf for the 49ers, I'd take him over Brandon Ayuk. I mean, the guy is just physically a stud, and he's gotten better. And yeah, he's a pain in the ass, and he can run hot and all those kind of things. I get it. But physically, he is so friggin' talented. And maybe I'm Al Davis here, but he's so talented, fast, strong, big that if he had a team that had a great passing offense, he'd be ridiculous. So I hope he goes to the Patriots because then he's completely out. He's completely irrelevant, and he's playing with Drake May, which he's a young guy, and I don't mind that guy, but it's going to take a minute for them. So yeah, I've heard that, but I guess the bad side for a Niners fan. A team like New England is so desperate that I wouldn't be shocked. He's not going for a 1, but I wouldn't be completely shocked if he went for like a 2. And for New England, they're picking near the top of the first round. So Seattle gets a high 2, and then for Geno, they get a 3. Now they're starting over. I get it. And Jackson Smith and Jigba is really solid, and they need offensive line help. But they're terrible. They gave up the most pressures in the entire league last year. And I don't mind their tackles so much, but their interior, their offensive line is the worst in the league. It's terrible. So they shore that up. They get Sam Darnold. They get another receiver next to Smith and Jigba. And the way that Mike McDonald can coach defense, they need to get Ernest Jones back, but they could be a problem. They're not right now, and nobody's calling them rebuilding. I don't know that I would say that. I think they're retooling. I think that's what Seattle's doing. Anyway, anything else on that? Okay. Good to see everybody. Welcome on a Saturday, about 52 minutes into the show. We try to do a tight hour on Saturday, but there's way too much going on. So let me just move it to this, and we'll get back to the 49ers. So keep them coming if you want 49ers talk. It's fine. But I have to play this. And the reason I do, and we're at the midpoint, so we went over Bay Area Sports Collective, Jed York, 49ers approach, Geno to the Raiders, Darnold to the Seahawks, Jonathan Allen, could he be a Niner? I don't think so, but we'll see. Free agency starts Monday, Kruger and I on Sunday night on the Krug Show and John Lund Unleashed. And Detroit at Golden State, I have not mentioned that. So let me hit NBA real quick, and we'll double back to the 49ers because everybody's going crazy on the chat line. I can see that. People mentioning Scattaboo. I like that kid, by the way. I digress. All right, let me hit NBA real quick. The Pistons are better than they used to be. They're not as terrible as they used to be. Cade Cunningham and crew coming into the worst. That's going to be a fun game tonight. A big game because the Warriors need to keep things going. There are less than 20 games in the season, so down the stretch they come. We're absolutely down the stretch. But I gotta give Jokic love because he plays in Denver. Sorry, Denver. I love Denver. Great city, great sports city on the West Coast. One of the best. But Jokic to me is a little bit like Curry in that he just doesn't get the respect, and he is so damn skilled. I'm not ready to say that Nikola Jokic is the best center of all time, but I will say this, and I feel pretty good about it. And I covered Sabonis with the Blazers. Now, he was older in his career, but he could pass and do all these different things. And Jokic reminds me of Sabonis a lot. Arvydas Sabonis. I had a liner for one of the shows I did. I was doing drive time in Portland when he was there, and they had Pippen and Steve Smith and Damon Stoudemire. It was a good team. And Arvydas Sabonis came on our show one time, and you can hardly understand him because he's got such a thick Russian accent, but he made a promo for us one time. And my partner's name on the show was Kenny Vance. He was a big dude. And he said, I think we called our show The Big Show. And he goes, welcome back to The Big Show, featuring the biggest big man, Kenny Vance, and John Lund. And it was just like the way he said it. Dude was 7'3" and well over 300 pounds. He was just massive. And I wish people would have saw him before he came over. He got drafted by the Blazers in 1986. And he didn't come over for years. And so he had bad knees and all this kind of stuff, but his skill level was off the charts, the way he could pass and do all these kind of things. But Jokic takes it even to a next level. And what he did last night, he had hit the first 30, 20, 20, 30 points, 20 boards, 20 assists in the history of the game. And I just want to show you some highlights. I know you know. But I just want to show you some highlights in the skill level. And because he plays in Denver, I just don't think he gets his accolades. And he reminds me of a 7-foot Curry in that you just watch these guys and he's so damn entertaining and he can do everything. He can shoot, he can pass. The IQ is off the charts. So anyway, the first 30, 20, 20. We'll go back to some NFL in just a second, but you got to watch this. We have to play this today. Here you go. Now, I cut out the sound, of course, but I'll commentate. I mean, look at that backdoor kind of a pass. The guy's just like, he knows where everybody is at all times. Okay, here you go. He's going to kick it left here. Pass it to Jokic already, man. Should have added the despair. I mean, look at that. I mean, that's like the dude's 7 foot. And everyone's, oh, he's not athletic. Okay, whatever. Watch this. I mean, just like that's like Harlem Globetrotter. So he didn't even look. Just like, he gets it. Boom, boom. I mean, it's Larry Birdish to a certain extent. There's no doubt. Again, I'm not ready to say he's the greatest. Look, you're going to look at that. I mean, he could have shot that. He could have shot that for a 3. A lot of guys would have. I'm going to get it for a better shot. He's just old school. Sabonis did a lot of the stuff. Pick and roll. Well, let me just throw this in there. It's like, how many different ways can he beat you? These passes are unbelievable. You can't leave him open. He's going to shoot a 3. Sees the guy in the corner off a triple team. He's like, you can't triple team him. He's going to find a guy wide open. It's unbelievable. Gets a rebound here. Back. Yep. Think, we got to get to him. Let's flip it to this guy. Look at him just kind of jogging, whatever. I think he hits a 3 at some point here. Look at that one-hander. Perfect on the point pass. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I'm talking from a skill level. That's where I'm talking about the Curry comparisons and just going to a game and just going, you're going to leave me open? Okay. I mean, totally unorthodox, but just rips a 3. No big deal. And his demeanor, like after the game, he was on with Scott Van Pelt of ESPN, and Scott, you're gonna come at me for a 3. I'll just go right around you. And Scott Van Pelt he was on with after the game, and Van Pelt was just saying, but no, it's the first 30, 20, 20 in the history of the game. I mean, are you kidding me with that stuff? But he's sitting there going, it's the first 30, 20, 20. And Jokic is just like, yeah, yeah, sure, whatever. I mean, he's just so even keeled. He's a lot like Steph in that way. But because he plays in Denver, he doesn't get the love he deserves. And he's the MVP every year, 30, 20, 20. Like, you can give me Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and all these different guys, and that's fine. He's the MVP every year. It would get boring. I mean, they used to even not give it to Jordan sometimes, and then Jordan would just use that in the playoffs. I was covering the Jazz when Karl Malone got the MVP over Jordan, and Jordan went, okay, and just kicked his ass in the finals, just crushed him. And after every game, it was like he'd have this snide comment afterwards with a grin on his face. Yeah, but I'm not the MVP. Just after every game of that series where they beat him in 98, because like I said, I'm in the press conference sitting there and just waiting for it. Jordan's going to give him a snide comment about Carl, and I'd make sure that was the thing that led my broadcast or my show the next. And I'm not the MVP though, and that's the way he used it. So every year, it was boring to give it to Jordan every year, so they just didn't. After a while, I was like, all right, this guy's going to win it. This guy's going to win it every once in a while. Jokic could be the MVP every single year. I mean, it's ridiculous. That game last night was ridiculous, just crazy. And then this morning I saw those highlights, and I'm just, because I watched the game. And it's just this pass, that shot, scoop shot, 3-point. Like, how do you defend that? And yet it's not like he's the guy jumping out of the gym. That's where people just get screwed up in all of sports. It's got to be the most athletic, got to be the fastest, got to be the highest jumper. His game is going to mature just fine because it's not based on athleticism. It's just based on he's got so much friggin' skill. And that's just what he does. He outskills you. And that's what Steph Curry does. He outskills you. And then you just sit there and you watch a game like that and you're like, oh, my God. But he doesn't get near the credit. I mean, that was an amazing game last night. He goes 30, 20, 20. And then before we get back to some NFL, because I know some people want to do this, Charles Barkley and Stephen A., I think next year, even though I don't love these kind of shows, and I doubt Charles would do it, they need to once a week just have a Barkley v. Stephen A. show. I don't know if I don't know how they'll do it. I don't think Charles wants to be on First Take or any of those jackassery shows. But yesterday I played this cut from Charles Barkley, and essentially what he said is that why is ESPN always talking about the Lakers and the Warriors? The Cavs are really good, and Oklahoma City's really good, and all that kind of stuff. And Kendrick Perkins is a jackass, and I can't believe we're going to have to work for that network next year, and this and that. So he goes off in this diatribe and tangent, and of course, Screaming A retorts, and he retorted the exact way that I told you yesterday, which is the reason they talk about the Lakers and the Warriors all the time is because ESPN does an insane amount of research. And every single morning in your inbox at ESPN, I can't believe it would fit, they would send you the Holy Bible, but it was sports. Every stat, just every possible thing. And along with that, this is what people are buzzing about. We're doing the research, and you think you're done talking about Dak Prescott and the Cowboys, but you're not. You think you're done talking about LeBron, and you're not. You think you're done. Whatever is the overblown thing that you're like, oh my God, if they talk about this, and they do, and you're like, and then you watch. And that's how ESPN does things. So they're going to talk about the Lakers. They're going to talk about the Warriors. If the Warriors and the Lakers were on versus Oklahoma City and Cleveland, the Warriors-Lakers game would get 10 times the audience. This is how it is. And that's what 𝐼𝐸 said. And that's what I told you yesterday on the show. And I get it from Charles' perspective, but that's not really the reason why I would grab my popcorn, is that next year, Inside the NBA is going to be on ESPN, and they're just pissed. And you think that Pat McAfee's causing a stir at ESPN, you watch what Charles does. It's going to be unbelievable. But I don't know how much they're paying him. It's probably a boatload for him to go over there because I'm sure he doesn't want to. He and 𝐼𝐸 have to do a show once a week. I don't watch any of their shows over there. And I'm not a 𝐼𝐸 fan. I give him respect for, doing what he's done. And he's making $20 million a year and all those kind of things. I'm not a fan. I don't watch any of those shows. Kendrick Perkins makes my ears bleed. But if Charles and 𝐼𝐸 did a show, I'm tuning in. Like, that would probably be the only show that I would tune in. So that's what I think. Let's see. Barkley, Stephen A. We're down to Jung-Hoo Lee, but let me just do one thing really quickly. Let me just jump out because I know a lot of people are wanting to still talk about the 49ers, and that's totally fine. Yeah, Steve, watching that game last night, I'm just like, you're glued. It's how other teams feel about Steph, because I'm not a Nuggets fan. I'm not an anti-Nuggets fan. They're kind of one of those teams you're neutral on, even though they won the championship. Like, I'm whatever. And it's a Friday night. My wife doesn't want to watch this stuff. She wants to watch, Severance. She wants to watch anything but that. We're watching the what's her name? Kate Hudson. Kate Hudson's got a thing out. She's running a fictitious basketball team called the LA Waves, which is kind of the Genie bus story is what I'm taking it as. So we'll watch this stuff. But I'm like, whoa, we got to watch this. She's like, when can we stop watching? I'm like, never, ever, ever, ever. This is the big curry. We have to watch Jokic. Sorry. That was just amazing. I mean, even if the mark of a great player really is, and if they should go to the Hall of Fame, should be, would you watch this game even though you have zero interest, no betting interest, no fantasy interest, no anything? You don't care about Denver versus Phoenix, whatever. And there's Jokic, and you're like, I'm watching it. I didn't bet on that game last night. All right. What else do I got? Anything else? Let's see. I want to make sure that we bring up people who I've never seen before in the chat line, because I always like to acknowledge people, and it's great. Oh, we've seen each other. That is a great avatar. Great avatar right there. Amazing, I would even call it. Let's see, what else do we have on going? All right. People are going on some tangents. I like it. Jake from the 510. I'll take Barkley versus 𝐼𝐸 versus one segment with Perkins. I'd rather scratch it out. I'm not a Perkins guy, but like I said, Barkley and Stephen A are going at it, and I guarantee that the ESPN executives are like, I don't care what it takes. 𝐼𝐸 will do anything. I mean, he's under contract for $20 million. It says right in his contract, you will do whatever we want you to do. You're a money whore, and you're going to take whatever. In Charles Barkley's deal, it probably says, let's like on Fox. You ever see Joe Buck on any of the Fox jackassery shows during the day? You ever see Troy Aikman on any of those dumb shows? You ever see Howie Long on any of those dumb shows? I mean, they work for Fox. They're not going on those dumb shows. They're like, get out of here. I'm not going to sit there and listen to this crap. Oh, your made up theories and stuff. No way. They're not going on those shows. Never, ever. So maybe Charles Barkley has that in his contract. Like, I never have to go on First Take or any of the other crap. He may just say that. But I can guarantee you that ESPN executives right now, we're on a big mahogany table, and they're going, look, I don't care what it costs. Advertisers will pay us 10 times that. Just ask Barkley what his price is to go on once a week with 𝐼𝐸. It's going to happen. There's just too much money. There's just too much money involved, I think. All right, let me not play this, and then we'll go back, I promise, to some 49er stuff, because there's a lot of good things. But let me just, before I forget, because you know me, I'll forget this stuff. And I do have a 𝐾𝐵OOST pistol, by the way, that I've got to ask you a question about. So don't go anywhere, because I got something good for you. Let's see, where is that? If I don't, it's no big deal if I can't find it. I thought I put these in a better order today. I thought I was going to be able to find everything. Oh, there it is. So Jim Bowden, who I often reference, writes for The Athletic, used to run the Nationals and the Reds. And he does a good job. He's on Sirius XM, all this kind of stuff. In fact, I think he has a Saturday show. And he wrote a piece in The Athletic about one breakout candidate for each team. Now, before I show you who the breakout candidate is, I already put it on the chalkboard, Jung-Hoo Lee, so that wasn't very good on my part. But in fact, let me just pop it up. God, you're a jackass, Lund. You don't know. It's right on the chalkboard, dude. So it says left shoulder injury, no, blah, 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 113 million, you know. I think people forget this because I'm like, Jung-Hoo Lee's not like, you don't put Jung-Hoo Lee in the bank. I told you about being in the bank yesterday. Like guys I can rely on 100%. And everyone's acting like he can be. He hit 262, 2 home runs, 2 stolen bases in 37 games. That's your leadoff hitter. 2 stolen bases, 2 home runs, 262, a 641 OPS. So Jim Bowden says that he is going to be the breakout candidate for the Giants. Do you know how big that would be for the Giants if Jung-Hoo Lee was that guy? He's a good defender. Looks like he's going to be the 3-hole hitter. Now, the 2-hole hitter now in baseball is the best hitter, so that's going to be Willie Adames. But they're going to lead off with the on-base machine that is Lamont Wade Jr., at least until he gets hurt. But he's going to lead off, and then Willie Adames, and then Jung-Hoo Lee. And Chapman's been red hot in spring training, and as I always tell you, I don't know what that means. It probably means nothing. Probably means he's going to leave all his hits in Arizona, but the reality is he's been hitting well. But if Jung-Hoo Lee can be something as the 3-hitter for the Giants, I'm not going to say it changes their projection for me out of 4th place because it doesn't. But that would be massive. And I tell you about the if factor all the time. If. And I don't like ifs on a team, but after Logan Webb, there's ifs in the pitching staff. Chapman and Adames at third base and short. The rest of the infield, to me, second base if, first base if Patrick Bailey can hit versus just be a defensive guy. If Ramos is first half Ramos, not second half Ramos, Yaz, all those kind of things. If Matos maybe at some point. So there's a lot of ifs within this team. But if Jung-Hoo Lee in center doesn't have to be an if, and I know he can defend, but let's just say for the sake of conversation, he was never a big home run hitter in Korea either, and he was never a big stolen base guy, so he's not a leadoff guy. So if he hits third, and let's say that he can hit 15 bombs, which still isn't a ton, but okay, at least it's decent. He's a left-handed hitter, doesn't have a ton of power, and you're going at triples alley. So that's a lot. He'd have to do majority of them on the road. So let's just say he can get 15 homers, I don't know, knocking 75, 80 runs from the 3-hole. Probably should be higher than that. But I'm just, come on. And then, he's, 280 hitter. Like, I can live with that. And he's got to have an OPS in the high 700s at least, maybe even 800 I'd really like. But, okay, baby steps. But if he can be that breakout candidate, which I think 15 home runs, let's say 85 RBIs because he's hitting third. Let's go 15 home runs, 85 RBIs. Guy hits like 280, has an OPS near 800. That's a lot to ask. And steals. And he's not a stolen base guy. 2 in 37 games. What does that project out to? Like 5? I mean, it's just not good. So, let's say he can steal 15. All right. Now, and he plays really good defense. That, to me, is a breakout thing. And that's the guy that they're paying for. And that's what he needs to do. So there's a lot of ifs within the Giants. If I said who's the biggest if that I'd want to come through, it might be this guy. Just because they're going to put him in the 3-hole. He's going to be the 3-hole hitter for the Giants. And they need him to be big. There you go. I had to get that up there. But it's got to be big. So there's the other thing. Jung-Hoo Lee at the bottom there. I think it's massive if Jung-Hoo Lee can be the breakout candidate that Jim Bowden is saying that he could be. So what do you think of that? Give me your thoughts. All right, up to the chat line. Like I said, we usually do about a tight hour on Saturday just to get you caught up on things. And as we say with episode 82, with the Jed York stuff coming out with the Mike Silver piece, 49ers approach, Geno to the Raiders, Darnold Lake's going to the Seahawks, Jonathan Allen's on the block from Washington. Not on the block. He's going to get released. Free agency is Monday. That's the heavy petting period. Pen to paper by noon. Free agency on Monday. Larry Krug and I. So if you don't know, Krug Show, Krug's doing an awesome job and has been doing that for a long time. So Krug and I get together often weekly. And so Sunday night, tomorrow night, today's Saturday, tomorrow night, Krug and I are going to do a dual show in which we do a breakdown of free agency, NFL free agency and day number 1 and what's going on. So tomorrow night, I'll let you know at time. So have your alerts on. Please make sure you're subscribing. John Lund Unleashed and Bay Area Sports Collective. And I will send that out. You have your alerts on both those channels, John Lund Unleashed and Bay Area Sports Collective. And you'll get an alert on Sunday or maybe later today, because when I'll talk to Krug today, and you'll know when we do that show. So we'll do a whole deal just on free agency, but I'm sure we'll talk Darnold. I'm sure we'll talk what's going on with the Seahawks. I'm sure we'll talk about all those different things that are going on. We'll talk about. in relation to the 49ers. Plus, I'm sure he wants to hit on the Mike Silver piece. I already told you. You don't go from a burning desire. A desperation is the word that I often use when it comes to the 49ers. A desperation, but a burning desire to win a Super Bowl, and then all of a sudden turn around and go, you know what? Those 2 contract negotiations sucked. I'm done. No, I don't want to win anymore. That's not how it works. You can't just turn it off. I'm going to turn that switch off. I'm going to turn that water off. It doesn't work like that. And I've been down there plenty enough to know. Just so you know. John and Krug having a duel. It's not a duel. We just hang out. We just talk about things. We'll disagree on certain things. I don't think there's any doubt. Let's see. Let me see what else I got here. Anybody else? Forever speak now, forever hold your peace on a Saturday. It's a beautiful day. Not that I don't love hanging out with you, but it is a beautiful day. And my wife poked her head in here early and said, yeah, there you go. I'll give him a free plug. Hi, 49er Brian. My wife poked her head in here and was just like, how long are you doing the show? I'm like, as long as it takes. And she's like, well, it's a nice day today because I spend like 20 hours a day in this stinking studio, which I love. Yeah, exactly right. The Korean League is nowhere close to the Japanese League. It's like a AA. Yeah, no doubt. We found that out during the pandemic. When we were on KMBR, we were so bored that we would bet on Korean League games. And we actually had a fantasy Korean League with all the guys, with Tommy and Larry and just everybody. We all did. And Rod, we had a Korean league, and everybody was assigned to teams. We didn't know anything. I think I had the Heroes or the Twins. I can't even remember what. My team was terrible. Terrible. Thank you, 49er Brian. I appreciate it. I like that, by the way. Unleashed, hit the like, players. I like it. You can say it a lot better than I can. Let's see. I know. People talk about Stephen A. for president, and everybody laughs, and then you go, oh, yeah, Trump's president. I'm not making fun of him. I'm not making a political statement. All I'm saying is a guy who hosted a show, and then you're looking at Screaming A, and you know what? To be honest, I don't know if you've watched any of it because I'm not a big news watcher, but I just see the clips of it. He's actually more competent talking politics than he is sports. That scares me, but he is. And the way that he does things, it just blows. I said this yesterday. It just blows their mind. He talks so fast and so loud that nobody else can get in word edgewise. And these people in the political channels, they're just not used to it. Like they're used to yelling and screaming, but they allow people to talk. You're 3 words in and Screaming A will just cut you off. And then you never get the mic back. And we've got to go to commercial. He's just, that is atrocious. And it's just, he's going crazy. He doesn't let up, pedal to the metal, speaking as loud as he possibly can. And then, there's a producer in Europe, got to break. They're going, I want to respond. Can't. Screaming A just took all the air out of the segment. You can't respond. There's no time left. I know that feeling. Let's just go to break. That's, so anyway, what else do we have today? Oh man, I'm glad I've seen a lot of new faces in here too, and I love it on a Saturday. Thank you. Yeah, Geno. But that's bad news if you're a 49er fan also. Geno Smith is like, as long as Geno Smith is the quarterback of the Seahawks, you know what level the Seahawks are playing at. He's not worth 40 or 45. He's a solid player, but he's living off his first year. His first year in Seattle, the guy was absolutely great. It was an awesome story. Remember when it was Denver. Remember they beat Denver. Russell Wilson left. They beat Denver and Geno Smith's first start. And he said something to the effect of like, what was it? I don't return the phone calls or I don't return. I remember what he said. But it was a great line. And they beat Denver. And that first year, Geno Smith was legit. Then the next 2 years after that, it's like, ugh. And that's why the Seattle did it. They're like, we're not paying the 20th ranked quarterback in the league. He's accurate. I'll give him that. But we're not paying the 20th ranked quarterback 40 to 45 million. And I also see why the Raiders did it. Because they're desperate and they need somebody competent at the position for Pete Carroll, and Pete Carroll knew him. And I always tell you this, look for the connection. Geno Smith, Pete Carroll. That's where guys go constantly. So when we're sitting there and we're speculating about who could come to the 49ers, sometimes you get a Javon Hargrave situation where it's like, that was out of the blue. That was crazy. But then the free agents that I look for the 49ers, like I said, we'll do this Sunday night with Krug. The 49ers I'm looking for, as far as free agents are concerned, Sherwood, the linebacker with the Jets. DJ Reed, the corner with the Jets. Certain guys, DJ Jones played here. I don't know if they're going to get any of those guys. I don't know what their financial situation really is. The cap is a living, moving thing. That's just what it is. So I'm not sure what they're going to do, but look for connections first. That's always what it is. Connection. And maybe there's a connection we don't even know about. And sometimes, there's just, we don't know anything. Oh my God, they just signed Javon Hargrave. I didn't see that one coming. So it's just how it is. That'll happen sometimes, but most times, there's a connection there. Deebo Samuel gets traded where? Washington. Who runs Washington's deal? Oh, Adam Peters. He drafted Deebo Samuel, helped draft Deebo Samuel for the Niners in 2019. Ding, 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 ding. All the time. All right. What else? What else do we got? What else is going on with everybody today? Everybody's hanging out? Oh, I do have a sweet, clean, family-friendly. This is actually a question for you as much as anything. I don't know if this is caboose-ish necessarily. If you're new around here on KNBR and with Papa for years and years and years, we did a segment called the Caboose Pistol, the sweet, clean, family-friendly Caboose Pistol. And I don't know that this is necessarily a Caboose Pistol. It's more of a question for you because I found it intriguing. So there's a look at that guy. Woof. This is what South Carolina killer said to be executed by firing squad chose for his last meal. There's two things there. Two things. One, firing squad would probably be my least favorite thing if I was going down. Like, I just want the lethal injection. You know, lethal injection is like they just put it in your arm, you fall asleep. But firing squad's like, and plus I wouldn't want to be on the firing squad because I guess they give what is it? They give some guys blanks and then one guy has a real bullet, so you don't even know. You know, I didn't kill the guy. I think I had a blank. I was like, all right. So that's how they do firing squad. I think that's how they still do it. But anyway, standing there and they just go 3, 2, 1, and you're going to get a bullet. Like, obviously, you did something really heinous, and so I guess I shouldn't feel sorry for you. But still, again, I'm not getting political. I'm just saying, if I was in that position of this not very attractive old man, I would not want firing squad. I would want lethal injection. So there's one. Two, he went KFC for the final meal. Now, maybe that says something about him. I don't know where he's from. But final meal at night, I think there's two final meals. I think two final meals come to mind for me. See that guy later. Two final meals come to mind for me. Most people, I'm going to say, and I'm speaking for people, so this is probably wrong, but I'm thinking steak and potato, right? Like a big, juicy, fat, like give me I don't know. I love filet. So like a filet, the biggest filet you could possibly find. I don't know, 14 ounces. Just a massive, just 20, I don't care. Filet, love filet. Some people go New York, porterhouse, whatever you want to do, tomahawk. I don't know. It's the state that's providing it for you, so I don't know how good it's going to be. I mean, maybe it's like, I don't know, Sizzler. I don't know if even Sizzler's around anymore, but, there's a big difference between like a Sizzler steak and a really nice joint, really nice steakhouse, Peter Luger's or something like that in New York. Like, there's a massive difference. So I don't know. If you're getting a tomahawk, you might be getting it. It's, $2 steak. So I'm not sure. But most people, wouldn't you say giant fluffy potato with all the fixings, butter, sour cream, the whole deal? And then I don't know. I don't think they'll give you a cocktail to end things, but it'd be nice. Get an old fashioned or something like that. Probably wouldn't get that. Probably the best you could do is like a, sugary Coke or something like that. But anyway, 9 times out of 10, when you say people would say a steak, big steak with all the fixings and a bunch of stuff and a big old dessert. I don't know, cheesecake, whatever you like to do afterwards, big chocolate cake, probably something like that. Pizza, maybe some people would say. Yeah, but to me, it's like, again, the state. What are they going to do? Give me the cardboard pizza that you got out of the food court or whatever there? Nah, I wouldn't go. Like, you want to get me like a pizza, I need to get an Italian style thick. I mean, people hate thick crust, but if I'm doing it for the last time, I'll eat that thick crust Chicago style or something like that. So pizza would be up there. Steak would be up there. Some people might go Italian, like a big Italian dinner. That would suck too. You're like, oh man, I'm getting close to the last bite. This is gonna be it. I'm done. Anyway, he went KFC. I didn't, no offense to KFC. Their stuff's good. I haven't been to a KFC in probably 5 years. And there's even one close to me. No, I'm not going KFC. So I'm just wondering, as we finish the show today. Oh, that's Jung-Hoo Lee. Different. Yeah. What are you doing? Lethal injection probably is what I want, and a big steak. Maybe pizza and steak. Would they give me both? Can I get a couple of pieces of deep dish and a big steak and a big potato and some cheesecake? Maybe a strawberries over the top. If it's not too much, can I get a cocktail and a beer? Both? Maybe a Jaeger? That's morbid, especially on a Saturday. Sorry, I should have probably done that. Let's see, KFC. Yeah, it's Ruth. Oh, that's a good call right there. Ruth Chris, solid. They put it in that broiler, and it's like 1,000,000 degrees, and they lay the table, and they put your. This is one thing at a restaurant too. We're at the random part of the show. This is one thing they do at a restaurant. I don't know. Somebody tells you something, and you do the opposite. So when you're at Ruth Chris, you ever done this? And they put the plate, which is flaming hot, really hot, because it was in the broiler, and they tell you, hey, don't touch the plate because it's really, really hot. And the steak is still sizzling on the plate. And what's your first thing? You reach for it. Oh, my hand's too low. Oh, you reach for it. They're like, ah! Can't touch the plate. So yeah, Ruth Chris is pretty good. I'd go Ruth Chris. That's very nice. It's a good call. Hey, John Holmes. Pioneer. I've never had Pioneer chicken. Is it that good? Where's Pioneer chicken at? I don't know. Pioneer chicken. Anybody got any thoughts on Pioneer chicken? I don't know. Wow, you're going fettuccine and white wine clam sauce. Very nice. Clams are definitely hit or miss. A blackened fettuccine with like some chicken in it would be nice, but and that's not going to be my final. That's not going to be my final deal. You know. There you go. See, there you go. That's what I just thought. I thought somebody go pizza. A lot of people go steak. I didn't think people would go, pasta would be all right. Let me see this. Tomahawk steaks are always ribeye and ribeye alone. Yeah, I know, but there's certain qualities, right? I mean, certain places are going to have a better steak than somebody else. I'm just saying, if the state's giving me the food, I don't know, man. I don't know. There's Kenneth. Hi, Kenneth. Ribeye medium rare with a nice lobster tail and asparagus. Oh, that's not bad. If you did the asparagus with some hollandaise on the top, you ever do Oscar style, a little bit of crab with the hollandaise and the asparagus on top, loaded baked potato paired with a nice white wine with a nice Chianti. Yeah, that'd be nice. That's a good call right there, Kenneth. If they brought me that, that'd be pretty good. I would eat that so slow. Can you imagine how slowly you'd eat that? Can we take that from you? No, not done. Wow, Chinese food. I love Chinese food. Man, there's no doubt. I'm a beef and broccoli guy, cashew chicken. I like spicy. Something spicy would be nice. I don't know if that'd be my final. John Holmes is going 14. He's going a 14-ounce tomahawk. There you go. You take the bone afterwards and hit him over the head. I'm not dying. I shouldn't have said that. Steak with a good cab. Yeah, nice, deep, tasteful cab would be really nice. I'm going to go up to Napa today. It's a nice day. What else? Anything else? Was that it? Okay. Very good. Just thought I would ask you that. I know it's morbid. I'm sorry. It's a Saturday. We should feel better than that. All right. Let's see. What else do we got? All right. We'll call that a day for a Saturday. Like I said, we normally do an hour, but we're at hour 21, and we had to go over the Jed York stuff. If you missed anything today, by the way, and I can't thank you enough for putting up with me on a Saturday. I really appreciate it. Let's go over everything really quickly again. Bay Area Sports Collective is an awesome place. In fact, I've had that crawl running. I didn't realize we were going to have that going the whole show, but I've had the crawl going the whole time underneath there. Bay Area Sports Collective, new place that we are all, John Lund Unleashed, Tom Tolbert Show. Tolbert Show with Ratto yesterday was out of this. It was just so wild. There's Paulie and Creative Tony, and all you got to do is subscribe to the page. Very, very simple. In fact, I'll pop this up for you right now to impress you. Click on that right now. You don't even have to leave the show. Bay Area Sports Collective, and you subscribe there, and that's where all the shows are. We're constantly giving you new content. There's more and more going to be added all the time, but we're starting with these 3 shows, great shows, and you're going to get your great Bay Area sports. By the way, we've already scared one radio station into saying that we got a memo that says that they can't have any of the insiders from this certain station on, and we've only been around like a few days, so they're already freaking out. And thanks to my good friends at 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐜𝐫𝐢𝐻 Cosmetic Surgery and Laser Center, Dr. Jeffrey 𝐬𝐻𝐫𝐢𝐻 and the whole crew there are awesome. I have to tell you, you need to make an appointment today or go to the website and check all these things out. I'm telling you about what I'm doing, the testosterone treatment. No, it's not Barry Bonds. No, it's not 𝐬𝐻𝐫𝐽. They take your blood test. Then they say, okay, this is exactly what you need. They give you the right dosage. You feel amazing. And the best part is, if you've heard about low T and testosterone replacement therapy, a lot of times you have to go in every single week, massive pain in the butt. It's not like that. Little procedure. It's going to take you about 30 minutes, real easy. And then you're going to be set for about 4, 5, 6 months, depending on, you. And they'll check it again. And so this is monitored, but you're going to feel amazing like I do. If you're feeling a little bit tired, you're feeling sluggish, you're feeling cranky, all those different things, that's low T as you get older. So make sure that you hit up Dr. 𝐬𝐻𝐫𝐽 right there on your screen. It's a QR code. Hit that up with your phone. Check it out. I'm telling you, you're going to feel so much better. And it is worth it. So they're in San Ramon, and you say to yourself, well, I can't get there. I'm telling you, 𝐬𝐻𝐫𝐽 Cosmetic Surgery and Laser Center, if you just check it out, it is going to be worth the drive. And then the thing that my wife is doing right now is the stem cell therapy. So you've heard about, I've done PRP and things like that, and it's hit and miss, that stuff, PRP. It's not bad. It's just if you add stem cell to it, it is amazing. She's got a bad shoulder, bad knee. I tell you this all the time. She's got all these contraptions in the freezer to make her feel better, to put on her shoulder and her neck and all this. if you've got pain, and it doesn't just have to be your shoulder, your elbow, when we're talking about knees or your neck or all these different ways that it can be treated by stem cell, Dr. 𝐟𝐸𝐵𝐿 is awesome. He treats it. My wife is feeling amazing. It's only been about 3 weeks, and she's like, I don't need all these contraptions. I don't need to ice myself constantly. So make an appointment right now. The stem cell treatment, I'm telling you, is absolutely amazing. A lot of people swear by it, and Dr. 𝐟𝐸𝐵𝐿 does it better than anybody. So it's 𝐟𝐸𝐵𝐿 Cosmetic Surgery and Laser Center. Make an appointment today. All right, one last look at what people are talking about, and we will be done on a Saturday. Don't forget, subscribe. John Lund Unleashed. Subscribe there. You'll get your alerts. Click those alerts on. Hit the thumbs up. Also, please, on Bay Area Sports Collective, do it there too. And you can get hits not only from me, but when Tommy's on, when Polly Mack is on with Creative Tony, anything that we're putting up there. And I've got some things that I've got to post up there today as well as John Lund Unleashed. So make sure you hit me. And then I'm working on a piece at johnlundunleashed.com. I talked a lot about Jed York today, so if you missed it, just go back. You can go back right now if you want, or wait till I post the chapters. We'll do that today, and so then you can click on whatever you want to talk about, because we talked a ton about the Niners today and Jed York and the approach. Believe me, they still want to win at a really high level. They have not changed their approach in terms of being desperate to win a Super Bowl. I'll just tell you that. So go back and watch that part of it, and then I'll have a piece out at johnlundunleashed.com, and I'll write all about it, and I'll put a video with that. I do that all the time for Story of the Day. So there's a lot of content still coming out, both with John Lund Unleashed and Bay Area Sports Collective. So make sure you check that out. And then Krug and I tomorrow night with a pre-free agency special Sunday night, and I'll let you know when we have that. If you have your alerts on, then you will know. So the Krug Show and I on Sunday night for the Monday for free agency. And then Monday morning at 8 a.m. I'll be back. That's a lot of stuff to digest, and I'm sorry I threw you all that junk at one time. Did somebody just say cheers? I love that, man. What are y'all doing tonight? I'm telling you, they are. 49ers, Brian, you're right. It's being overblown. I'm just going to tell you that. You don't change your stripes that quickly. Yep, I'm done. You know what? 2 bad contract negotiations, 3 bad contract negotiations. I'm out. Don't want to win a Super Bowl anymore. That's not how he's wired. Law of Awe. Cheers, John. Cheers to all of you. Seriously, I hope you have an amazing Saturday, an amazing Saturday night. Maybe you're going out to dinner or whatever. I appreciate you taking the time. It's a beautiful day today, so let's go out, enjoy the day. Hit me up tomorrow with Krug, and we'll go from there. Thank you so much. Thanks from John Lund Unleashed. Thanks from the Bay Area Sports Collective. Everybody have an amazing Saturday, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for hanging out with John Lund Unleashed. We'll try to be better next time, though I wouldn't hold my breath. Please like and subscribe on the John Lund Unleashed Pod YouTube channel. Watch live shows weekdays at 8 a.m. on YouTube, Instagram, and X. And make sure to have your alerts on for shows throughout the day or night. All things Lund can be found at johnlundunleashed.com. johnlundunleashed.com.
Goodbye!